Okay, welcome back to episode 3 of Two Guys from Philly Talking Hoops. I'm Mike Gallagher, the assistant coach at Independence High School here in Virginia, along with former Division One head coach or Division One coach Corey Stitzel, and current head coach at Independence. Welcome to our show.
Glad to be back. We got another great guest here, Mike. We're really lining up some good ones.
Today, we're excited to have as our guest Caleb Kimbrough, the head coach at Hampden-Sydney College in Virginia. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Now, I'm going to share a picture. So as I warned, let's see if I can make this work properly. Hopefully, I'm sharing a picture of the Hampden-Sydney campus, which is about 3 hours south of us here in Ashburn and about an hour west of Richmond. Coach, we're still on lockdown here, so I'm just wondering, any chance like I could come down there and get a haircut? Is there a place I could get a haircut down there? I can't do anything.
It's funny you say that. My wife actually cut my hair yesterday. It was very scary, and it took about 2 hours, but I think it turned out all right. You know, we made a play. We made it happen. So if you want to come down, we can probably make something happen for you.
Well, you mentioned your wife. Speaking of your family, I understand that you just had a second child during this crisis. You've been able to squeeze in a second one, huh?
Yes, we have a son, 2 years old. His name's Nash, and my daughter, Ray, was born March 7th, so right before everything kind of started going crazy. Yeah, she's great. It's been a crazy household, but it's been a lot of fun.
I can't imagine 2 under 2. That's challenging times. Good for you. Now, I know this was your first year at Hampden-Sydney, and I did have a picture as well of the squad. A little bit on your coaching background. I have that after you played at Guilford and had coaching stints at Washington and Lee, and then back at Guilford, including being an associate head coach. You then went down to be the head coach to rebuild a program at Huntington in Alabama before coming back up to Virginia to be at Hampden-Sydney. So what was it like returning back to Virginia to coach?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, I know the league. I played in the league, coached in the league. You know, it was kind of my adult life was a lot of ODAC basketball, you know, really. So I knew of Hampden-Sydney. I knew the teams I played against, and I knew the history. You know, right before I got to Guilford, when I got to Guilford, Bubba Smith was the coach, and before that, Tony Shaver, and he was all, you know, won a million games here. So it's pretty unbelievable what was done at Hampden-Sydney. So I was just excited about just the opportunity to get back in the league, but at a place like Hampden-Sydney, I really thought, you know, my goal has been to want to coach a team at the highest level, Division III. I thought this was a place we could do it.
And one of the reasons, Coach, that I wanted to have you on is I am a big believer, and I follow guys at all levels. Coach knows, Gallagher knows. I'm a big fan of studying teams and people. And you turned around Huntington in Alabama from 0 wins to 13 wins. Again, I don't know much about that school, but that couldn't have been easy. And then Hampden-Sydney, you go from 1 conference win to 8. 4 wins to 14. I believe, again, Coach will laugh. I don't do much research. I just kind of the Rain Man in my head of what I look at. One of the biggest turnarounds of Division 1, 2, or 3, plus 10 in wins, to me is very impressive. There's a lot of guys that sometimes, not a lot, there's some guys that can do it at 1 spot, but you did it at 2. And my guess is, looking online, and I'm familiar with Hampden-Sydney. I actually coached against Tony Shaver when he was at William & Mary, and I was at JMU. Probably 2 different schools, right? I'm thinking in 2 different clienteles in terms of recruiting. I'm just assuming that. Tell our viewers, what is it like? What is your secret, your formula on turning around multiple programs?
Yeah, a great question. The Huntington situation was very unique. You know, I went in actually as the coach in waiting. A lot of people don't realize I was hired as the coach in waiting. You know, and then took over the team mid-season. We were 0-10, and I mean, we were getting destroyed. And there was no like bad blood or big situation. The head coach was just like, "Hey, I think it's time for me to step away." But, I was like, "Yeah, easy for you to say. You know, let's go ahead. All right." And the worst thing that could happen is we won the next game, and we only won 2 games the rest of the season. But Huntington is USA style school. It's you're familiar with Division III schools that have to have a large roster. We had to have a large roster.
Yeah.
We held a JV team. So the way we recruited was different. We had to recruit numbers, which is very difficult to, one, to just genuinely pitch a kid that he's going to get all the attention when you have 30 guys on your roster. But we were able to recruit a lot of really good kids. I think, my thing is just developing a purpose in the program, figuring out what the school is all about and really trying to target recruits that fit what your school is. So not just, obviously you find recruits based off ability, but they really have to kind of fall in love. And, we don't try to convince people, when I was at Huntington, we didn't try to convince them that was the right thing for them. And we don't try to do the same thing here. You really have to love it when you come visit. And I think when we've done that, we've been able to retain kids and then develop them, give them a purpose and kind of pump some energy into them. And it's, I need to be at a place for more than, I've gone from taking over teams and pumping life into them and doing better. And now we need to see what we can do after, year 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll see. Well,
Larry Brown would say you win and then you get out again. That's what he made the king of doing. And that's kind of my kind of thing. I don't like to stay places too long because usually I wear out my welcome at that point. But
they are ready for you to go by the end of the time.
I try to beat the posse out of town.
You mentioned the ODAC. Now you had a chance to play in the ODAC for 4 years, and you're on the sidelines coaching for 8. Last week we had a guest on, and Coach Stitzel made a controversial statement about the ODAC. He felt it was overrated. You've had a chance. You're back now, and based on your experience, what is your view of the ODAC Conference and the competitive?
Before you answer that, Caleb, I'm going to preface, my statement is, first of all, I think you would agree with me, and everybody in the ODAC would agree with me on this, is, when I started coaching 20 years ago, and I think Tony was then the coach at Hampden-Sydney. Hampden-Sydney was a perennial NCAA tournament team. And for the ODAC to get multiple bids, right, in the NCAA tournament, you're on the right track of getting Hampden-Sydney right back to that. So you're probably one of the things that I'm trying to say is if you can get back to national prominence, it can be a 2 or 3 bid league. And I will also say this. I know how hard it is to get at-large berths in Division III. I understand it. It's not the NCAA tournament where there's 9 teams out of the Big Ten getting the NCAA in tournament. So I understand that, 1 or 2 bids is a big deal in Division III. What I'm trying to say, Coach, is what Coach Gallagher's prefacing too is my statement is ODAC's a good league. I will be the first one to tell you that. But it's not the Big Ten, this year's Big Ten. And I hear from a lot of coaches in your league, you not being one of them, or your staff, you guys do a really good job of keeping it real, that we're the best conference in the country. Your kids should go here. They need to visit here. No Division II. Why are kids looking at other schools in Division III? We're the ODAC and try to shut it down. And my point is, I'm not a numbers guy, trust me. Looking at the numbers and looking what I'm looking at, and I watch a lot of your guys' games online and I come live to a lot of different things, is I don't see that there yet to make those kind of bold statements that I hear from coaches. And the reality is it was a 1-bid league. Virginia Wesleyan, did they get screwed or not screwed? That's for somebody else to describe, but your league strength of schedule was low. To that being said, you're a lifelong ODAC, a great player in the ODAC, 108 games started as a player, which to me, I love good players. Tell me, like Coach said, explain what you think of my statement.
Yeah, I think your statement is your opinion. Honestly, the ODAC is a very strong league. Going through the ODAC, I think over a period of time, you can see the ODAC is a crazy strong league. This year, Randolph-Macon was as good as anybody. I thought they had just as good a shot at anybody to win the whole thing. I thought, if Virginia Wesleyan makes the tournament, they're going to beat some teams. I think I'm very confident in saying that, but to give you an example, it's tough because I think there's a lot of factors to go into it that I haven't, in my short time as a head coach, really focused on. My focus hasn't been, how do I get in that large bid?
Right.
It's been, how do we figure out how to win one game? So, as I'm learning kind of what goes into it, scheduling plays a part. Who's on the committee plays a part. I mean, you think about last year, Randolph-Macon and Guilford College played in the ODAC championship. If Guilford loses, they don't make the NCAA tournament. So then everybody's saying you're one big league. Well, both teams make it because Guilford wins, and then Guilford loses to the national championship team by 3 in the Elite Eight, and Randolph-Macon loses at the buzzer to Swarthmore in the Sweet 16. So then you're saying, well, I think the ODAC has proven for the most part that when they get teams in, and I think, like you said, we need to, maybe we need to schedule stronger. We need to, we need to put our heads together and figure out. I don't know who's on the committee and who's making those calls, but I think we're a strong league.
And going into that is my big thing, as I've said before, is, I respect coaches that work hard at it, recruit like, it's your lifeline. It really is. You can be the greatest coach in the world. When you took over that 0-win Huntington team, Adolph Rupp could have walked in there, or, Bill Self from Chesky. They weren't going to win. It's all about players. And I've been impressed. I don't know a lot of kids from the North Carolina area unless I've seen them in AAU, because I don't see a lot of games down that way, being high school coach and AAU coach. But you got 2 kids, one from Ashburn in Josiah Hardy, who lives about 2 blocks from where I'm sitting right here, from Gonzaga, who I think is a great get. In fact, he had an advocate reach out to me a couple months ago to help him find a scholarship, and I believe we did. I thought he had a couple scholarship offers from PSACs and some other things that ended up going to Hampden-Sydney. And another kid who's a local kid who went to a private school in Patrick Strite, who I saw when he was younger. So I think you guys are doing a really good job recruiting, from what I understand, and talking to the people in your league and recruiting services. The kids you got from North Carolina, I think you have a kid from South Carolina or Georgia maybe coming in as well, are really good players. Northern Virginia is where we're at, where Mike and I are sitting. It's a hard area to recruit. It gets recruited very hard. My AAU team, which is heavily recruited, has kids from all over. Roanoke to Richmond to up here. Is your recruiting philosophy for Hampden-Sydney is you guys work. You got a really good staff. Now you got a staff that's well paid for Division III as well, and you got a lot of full-time guys there. Is your staff does a really good job. You work. What's your secret to in recruiting here, taking over that job, which is, a prestigious place? For people that don't know, and Mike, I don't even know if you know, I'm sure you did your research. Hampden-Sydney has one of the strongest alumni bases there are out there, and it's also an all-boys school. Okay, there's no girls on the campus. Now, Longwood's down the road, which obviously is a state school that has girls on it, but Hampden-Sydney is a very prestigious men's school, boys' school, whatever the heck you want to call it.
Well, I'll add, when I did do the research, the 10th oldest school in the U.S.
Yes.
Right? So it opened in 1775 before the U.S. became the U.S. So it's been around a long time.
So recruiting-wise, how do you make that all work? Is not having girls a deterrent or not? I mean, today's age, you're a smaller school, because of that. Like, what's making it work? Because it's working. Everybody that I talk to and what I see, it's working. So tell us about that.
Well, I mean, being in the league prior to coming back to Virginia was pretty important, because at Guilford College, I recruited a lot against Hampden-Sydney, and I lost a lot of those battles. I lost all those battles for a number of reasons, and I prided myself on the hard work and the getting out on the road and recruiting. So I didn't, I thought they must be doing something right over there. And so coming in, I thought it'd be interesting to see what the all-male aspect was gonna, how it was gonna affect us. But I think you said it. I mean, there's no big trick to how we recruit. We just try to get out and make calls and see kids and evaluate and make sure we're being very thorough and getting to know them to figure out if they're a good fit for us. The big kicker here is definitely getting someone to campus. I think hearing it's an all-male school is a huge red flag. I know it would have been for me, coming out of high school. So I think that's one of those things where you talk to a kid, and if they can't get over that hurdle of I can't come visit an all-male school, then, we move on. I mean, there's a million good players out there. But the kid that actually hears us out and comes to visit, I mean, we landed the kids we wanted this year that came to visit, so it ended up working out.
All right, I'm going to try this again and share my screen. Coach talked about your time as a player, so I have a picture of you from your Guilford days. But I put this up because I couldn't find a picture of the next team you played for, which I thought was a fascinating part of your bio, that you played for the Washington Generals for a year, touring the world, playing against the Harlem Globetrotters. For those who don't know, that's the common opponent that the Globetrotters play as they go for these exhibitions around the world. And I'm curious, two questions really. What was that experience like, one? And two, did that influence how you coached, that you were trying to combine winning with also playing an entertaining form of basketball?
Well, yeah, first of all, great throwback picture right here. In the back, you see the guy with the red shirt sitting on the court. That's Jack Jensen, a legendary. He's a Hall of Fame coach in in North Carolina. He won a national championship at Guilford. But Washington Generals, I mean, nothing associated with that team. Winning was not associated at all with that. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. I got to have a basketball in my hand and play in these NBA arenas and college arenas that I dreamed of, watched on TV and dreamed of playing in. You get to the arena really early. So I think that there's your fun. You get there like 4 hours early, 2 of those hours before the fans start coming in. You really get to maybe do some things on the court before the show happens. But I also traveled, in a year time, I traveled to I think it was 16, 17 different countries in a year. Played all over the world, and it was neat. I had connections to the Generals for years and sent the players I coached to go do the same thing. We got a lot of people connected. It was a really neat gig.
That's great. So following that, we're adding a segment. Hopefully this works. It's Stump the Coach. So I like to try to stump Coach Stitzel whenever I can. So I'm going to ask him to answer first so I can get him again. But this is a Washington Generals question in your honor. So they started in 1952, and I've researched during their history, they had several other names occasionally that they played under. So which one of these was not one of the names that the Generals played under? A, Boston Shamrocks, B, Kentucky Colonels, C, Atlantic City Seagulls, or D, Baltimore Rockets? Coach Stitzel, you get first crack.
I'm going to say the Boston Shamrocks.
Okay. Coach Kimbrough?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this. I guess I'm going to guess Kentucky Colonels.
The Colonels? All right, so the Kentucky Colonels, the answer is the Kentucky Colonels. That's correct.
All right.
Because they were an ABA team. So I'm showing my age because I was around watching the ABA when they were in play. So anyway, that's the trivia question segment for today. Coach Stitzel, any other questions you wanted to add?
Last thing I'd ask you, Coach, is you got some guys back next year. You got two bigs back. Jake Hahn is a big kid that we coached against when we were at Stonebridge from Albemarle. He was the left-handed big kid, had a great year for you. Jack Wyatt's another kid, Mike, you and I coached against for collegiate that summer at Richmond team camp, the big kid inside. And you also have a freshman that, was in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. What do you think of your team next year with what you got coming back and what you got coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely can improve. I mean, I know we're losing a lot, and Chase Johnson and Kevin Quinn, both those guys did a phenomenal job for us this past year. But we are returning a lot of guys that played big minutes, and we think we're bringing in some young guys as well that could hopefully contribute early in their careers. I mean, everybody's recruiting, everybody's getting good players. I mean, so I think we think we can be a lot better, but we also understand. I mean, we don't know how we match up with the rest of the league right now. So I think this is a place that we have the resources to recruit some pretty top-notch guys and continue to do that. And if we keep working, like you're saying, we'll put ourselves in a pretty good position.
Perfect.
Great. Coach Kimbrough, thanks for joining us. Congratulations again on the birth of your daughter. And hopefully that you and the family continue to be safe. And we look forward to watching you play next year.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's fun.
Thanks for coming on, Coach.
All right. Take care.